This video examines Isaac Clarke's suit from the Dead Space game universe. How logical and practical is it within the context of the game itself, and how realistic is it from the perspective of the real world? Unfortunately, the Dead Space series provides very little in-game technical information about the construction of the suits. Therefore, this analysis is largely based on gameplay mechanics and visual elements shown in the games. You are watching the MiliTime Fiction channel. Let's begin. The RIG, Resource Integration Gear, is a system designed to collect and manage data about the user's vital signs, as well as information about compatible equipment used by the wearer. The same term is also used to describe the suit or uniform into which this system is integrated. Essentially, any wearable suit in Dead Space is a RIG. Different parts of the series feature various RIG models and modifications: civilian, engineering, military, and others. Despite their differences, all of them are built on a common platform and feature a characteristic health indicator located on the user's spine. According to the lore, this indicator is actually a reservoir filled with somatic gel. When the wearer is injured, the gel is injected into the bloodstream to sustain life. This solution is justified by the working conditions of the mining industry. The USG Ishimura is a mining vessel where workers could suffer severe injuries, including traumatic limb amputations. As long as somatic gel remains in the system, the person stays alive. Once it is depleted, death occurs. In Dead Space 3, medkits are manufactured from this gel, and using them replenishes the wearer's RIG supply. The spinal health indicator also serves a social function. Many human colonies are located in space or on planets with environments hostile to human life. In such conditions, visible information about a person's physical state allows others to provide immediate assistance. This design choice appears logical and well justified. The main character of Dead Space, Isaac Clarke, is a ship systems engineer and wears an engineer-class rig throughout most of the first two games. Therefore, this suit should be evaluated as engineering protective gear rather than military armor. The suit was never designed for combat and was not intended to withstand attacks from necromorphs. Their emergence was completely unexpected and not anticipated during the development of the equipment. However, even within this logic, the design of the suit's armor plates raises serious questions. The suit offers poor protection against piercing and cutting damage, which is strange considering the nature of an engineer's work. During accidents in zero gravity, sharp metal debris can freely move inside ship compartments, especially after structural failures or hull breaches caused by space debris. The metal segments of the armor are separated by large gaps. This turns damage protection into a matter of chance, with a high probability that an impact will strike an unprotected area, especially in the case of thin and sharp fragments. Protection against blunt force is also questionable. If the plates were rigidly connected, they could form a structural frame capable of absorbing heavy impacts. In its in-game form, however, the armor fails to properly protect against either sharp or blunt threats. If the suit is limited by weight capacity, the armor should have been optimized differently. Fewer but larger plates protecting vital organs. This is a universal rule of armor design that has applied throughout history. Even at maximum upgrade level, Isaac's suit leaves the elbow joints, groin, and neck exposed, which is extremely dangerous for an engineer working in hazardous environments aboard a spacecraft. The neck is partially protected by the external interface panel mounted on the chest. Its shape resembles a pronounced ridge and may function similarly to a medieval beavor, a piece of plate armor designed to protect the neck and lower face. Placing the interface screen on the chest may seem unusual, but for an engineer it can be justified. A display inside the helmet would create unnecessary visual clutter. A wrist-mounted screen would be inconvenient, as both hands are often occupied with tools or components. A chest-mounted interface allows the user to interact with it using one hand, while keeping the other hand free for work. From an engineering standpoint, this is a practical solution. Notably, military rig models do not feature a chest-mounted interface, likely because it would be quickly damaged by enemy fire. This suggests that the developers did apply logical reasoning when designing different suit variants. One could assume that the suit's metal plates are intended to function as a Faraday cage, protecting the engineer when working near exposed live wiring. A Faraday cage creates a shielded space that blocks external electromagnetic effects. However, for a Faraday cage to work, all metal components must be electrically connected. In Dead Space, the suit's metal plates are not connected to one another, making such protection impossible. Additionally, in Dead Space 3, armor upgrades require semiconductors. Semiconductors are unsuitable for Faraday cages, as their electrical conductivity varies under external conditions. Effective electromagnetic shielding requires highly conductive metals such as copper, aluminum, or steel. Another possible explanation is that the plates serve as mounting rails for tools and equipment, similar to Picatinny rails on firearms. In the first 2 games, Isaac has a limited number of tool slots. In reality, he would have to physically carry this equipment on his body. The relief and structure of the armor plates would be well suited for this purpose. This idea may have been abandoned during development due to visual clutter or design limitations. The helmet is the most critical element of the suit, yet in Dead Space, it is highly unconventional. It consists of multiple moving parts and can fully open, exposing the wearer's head. From an engineering standpoint, this is an unreliable solution. At any stage of assembly or disassembly, a malfunction could occur, potentially leaving the engineer without oxygen and vacuum. A more reliable design would involve a solid helmet frame with a single movable visor, ensuring airtight integrity along only one ceiling line. The helmet's visual system also raises questions. It is unlikely that Isaac actually sees through the narrow slits in the visor. The vision system is almost certainly fully computer-generated. If so, information could be displayed directly on the visor, but this would overload the user's field of view. This explains why some data is moved to the chest interface. In terms of combat effectiveness, the helmet's shape is far from ideal. Combat armor should have smooth, sloped surfaces to prevent snagging and reduce impact force. The helmet's multi-part design and numerous attachment points work against this principle. However, the helmet was not designed for combat and likely supports the installation of additional engineering equipment not shown in the game. Even the strongest helmet is useless if the full force of an impact is transferred to the human neck. Ideally, the helmet should be integrated into an exoskeletal system that distributes loads across the body. There is no clear evidence of an exoskeleton in Isaac's suit. His movement appears heavy and strained, suggesting the absence of powered servos. At the same time, the Dead Space universe features the Kinesis module, a device that allows remote manipulation of objects by nullifying their mass. This technology reduces the need for exoskeletons, especially in the confined spaces of spacecraft. It is reasonable to assume that Kinesis can operate in a passive mode, reducing the effective mass of carried equipment. This is supported by the fact that the inventory system is limited by slot count rather than weight, implying that mass is largely irrelevant. Scenes in which Isaac delivers extremely powerful kicks to necromorphs should be treated as gameplay conventions. In the opening of Dead Space 2, he is capable of similar actions even without a suit. These moments should not be considered when evaluating the realism of the armor. Isaac's suit includes magnetic boots for zero-gravity operation, a stasis module, and a limited emergency air supply. The air supply is a realistic technology and requires no further discussion. Both the stasis and kinesis modules are entirely fictional technologies. The stasis module is known to be powered by a separate battery. However, the power source for the kinesis module and the suit as a whole is never explained. Given the presence of gravity-related and energy-intensive systems, the suit must rely on a powerful energy source, yet this aspect is never addressed in the games. Isaac Clarke's engineer suit is poorly thought out both within the internal logic of the game world and from a real-world engineering perspective. It is highly unlikely that future engineers would rely on such equipment for hazardous repair work, or that military forces would adopt rig-based armor to combat an alien threat. Despite this, the Dead Space series remains an outstanding example of science fiction horror. However, Isaac Clarke's armor is one of the least convincing elements of its world building. If you found this topic interesting, feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. This was MiliTime Fiction. Thank you for watching.